short wave radiation. Okay, short wave radiation. That is a short wave, and we have got also the long wave radiation from the surface. Okay, then every layer, intervening layer of the atmosphere will partly absorb it and then re-emit it, right? So for every layer, you will have upward flux and downward flux. Okay, a flux upward and a flux downward. Okay, a flux upward and a flux downward. Okay, for every layer. So in order to compute the temperatures for each layer, say let's say T1, T2, T3, T4, because of the radiative heating rate, the temperature of each atmospheric layer due to the radiation is computed after computing the fluxage. Okay, say this is layer 3, so this is F3. This is also layer 3 going out, so this is also F3. This is from layer 4, so this will be F4. Okay, and this is coming from layer 2, so this will be F2 and so on. Right? So for each layer, we will have to compute the radiative fluxes. And how to compute the radiative fluxes that we had seen yesterday, right? In today's class, we are going to start or discuss a very important part of the atmospheric radiation. Okay, and that is the cloud radiation interaction. Okay, we are going to discuss about the cloud radiation interaction. Is this screen visible to you?
Yes, sir.
Okay,
Yes,
yeah,
sir.
we're going to talk about the cloud radiation interaction. Okay, now this is one of the very important part of the climate feedback system, right? Earth's climate feedback system, because the clouds are still not very well known. The physics of the cloud, the dynamics of the cloud are still not very well known. Okay, how it interacts with the atmosphere, how it interacts with the different other physical processes, because there are so many physical processes that occur in the atmosphere, and interaction of the clouds with each of those physical processes are still not very well understood, right? And therefore, the clouds which are represented in the atmospheric models are only approximations, right? They're only the approximations. They're not very well represented, and therefore the feedback of the cloud to the Earth's atmospheric system is still not very accurate. Okay, the feedback is not very accurate, and therefore we need to understand the cloud processes very well. Okay. Now, when we talk about the cloud radiation interaction, okay, there are a few things which we have to compute. There are a few things that we have to compute for cloud radiation interaction. Okay. One is, for example, the so-called cloud liquid path. Okay. This has to be known or computed by the model. Cloud optical thickness. Okay. And the parameters which we discussed in the previous classes, right? Like single scattering albedo. Okay, these things we have discussed in the previous classes, right? Asymmetry factor. Okay, and then there are many more things which, of course, we do not compute very accurately, but we just try to approximate them. Now, for example, the cloud amount, another very important parameter which is required for the cloud radiation interaction, the cloud climate feedback. How much is the total cloud amount in the global atmosphere, right? Cloudiness, that is another important parameter. And if you go more in detail, there are many more things. Like, we talk about the hydrometeors which are inside the clouds, for example. What are the sizes and number concentrations of those hydrometeors which are inside the clouds, right? The effective radius of cloud droplets, for example. Okay, and many more things. So we need to compute or know in detail about all these things in order to know the exact cloud radiation feedback. Okay, cloud radiation feedback or interaction. Okay, these things are supposed to be known. All right. Now let's see what are these things. Some of these parameters you already know. The definition of some of the parameters you already know, right? Like we have already discussed what is cloud optical thickness, isn't it? What is cloud optical thickness? That we have already discussed in the previous class. We have already discussed about what is single scattering albedo, right? We have also discussed what is the asymmetry factor. Okay. About the cloud amount, again, cloud amount is very important parameter. Cloud amount. How much is the cloud amount? See, a very important parameter. But in most of the atmospheric models, this cloud amount is only approximated. Now, probably you will study in your third semester, some of you, I mean, those who are regular students, they will study in the third semester about how the cloud amount or the cloudiness is computed. Okay, how the cloud amount is computed in the model. And not only that, also we need to know about how the clouds are overlapping with each other, because clouds can be there in different layers of the atmosphere, right? Clouds can be there. Suppose this is the Earth. There can be low clouds at some level. There can be middle clouds also. There can be mid clouds also at some other level. And there can be also high clouds. Okay, there can be high clouds also. This is a high cloud. Okay, high cloud, middle cloud, low cloud. Okay, so what is the percentage? What is the fraction of these clouds in the atmosphere? You know how the cloud is measured? What is the unit of the cloud? Do you know what is the unit of the cloud? How the cloud is measured? Amount, unit. Do you know that? Nobody is saying anything. Am I audible and visible to everybody?
Octa.
Octa.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, very correct. Yeah, very correct. It is measured in terms of the octa. This is the unit of the cloud amount, right? And this is the unit which generally, now when it is observed manually by an observer, then it is expressed in terms of the octa, right? But in the model, we express in terms of the percentage. Right? Like if you have got a model domain like this one, and I've got the grid points of the model, right? Suppose this is a regional model. Let us say this is the map of the India. This is the map of the India, let us say. Then in each grid box, what percentage of this grid box is covered by the cloud, right? What percentage of the grid box is covered by the cloud? And that is the fractional cloud amount, right? Fractional cloud amount. Maybe only half of the grid box is covered by the cloud, rest of the grid is clear. That also can happen. Or the entire grid box is covered by the cloud. So how much percentage? Is 10%, 20%, 50%, or 100%? Right? So it is expressed in terms of the percentage in the model. Whereas when you are reporting by observation, then you present in terms of the octa. And what is octa? Do you know what is octa? Do you know what is octa? Yes or no? Everybody is silent. What is octa?
Don't know, sir. Don't know, sir.
Don't know. Okay. So suppose if this is the sky that you are able to see from wherever you are standing, 360 degree, right? This is the sky, let us say. That an observer, suppose this is a observer. An observer is viewing the sky from his location. Okay, this is the entire sky that he is viewing or watching. Then you can divide the entire sky into 8 quadrants. Suppose you divide like this. Okay, divide the entire sky into 8 quadrants. So कितना part हो गया? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 quadrants, isn't it? Now, for an observer who is standing here, if the entire sky is overcast, right? That means the entire sky is filled with cloud. Overcast means filled with clouds. Okay, the entire sky is filled with cloud. Then he will report the amount of cloud as 8 octa. Okay, you get it? The entire sky is filled by the cloud. For this observer who is standing at this location, then the amount of cloud for that place is 8 octa. If he finds that only half of the sky is covered by the cloud, then the amount of cloud will be 4 octa. Okay, so accordingly, you will estimate how much fraction of the cloud is visible to you. If there is no cloud, the entire sky is clear. If the entire sky is clear, then it will be 0 octa. Okay, this is how the cloud amount is reported by all the meteorological observatories. Okay, throughout the world. All the meteorological observatories throughout the world report the clouds manually like this in terms of the octa. So is that clear now, octa? Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes,
So
sir.
this is the way the clouds are reported or expressed. Okay. And then this is true for also for each type of cloud. Okay. For the low cloud, medium cloud, and the high cloud. Okay. So for each cloud type, the amount of cloudiness is also reported. How much amount is the low cloud, how much is the medium cloud amount, and how much is the high cloud amount. Okay. And then the total cloud amount also. Total cloud amount. This has to be reported. Actually speaking, we will discuss more in detail in your third semester about the how the observations are measured for the NWP, numerical weather prediction. That every day these observations are collected on an hourly basis, right? And also rather I should say synoptic hours. Synoptic hours are generally 3 hourly. 3 hourly. So that means that 00, 03, 06, 09, 12, so on up to 24. UTC. UTC. At all these standard synoptic time, these observations are collected around the globe for all the stations on the entire globe, in the earth, right? For all the countries, right? And there are many more observations which are reported. Okay. So anyway, these things you will study later. But for now, we're talking about that what are the things which we require to understand the cloud radiation interaction. All right. And we said that one of the important parameter that we need to know is the cloud liquid water path. Okay, cloud liquid water path. And this is defined now as follows. The cloud liquid water path of the cloud layer bounded by Z equal to Z1 and Z equal to Z2 in the vertical is defined as integration from Z1 to Z2 rho A LCD dz in terms of the grams per meter square, where LCD is the cloud liquid water. LCD is the cloud liquid water. Actually, this is the net liquid water in the atmosphere. Basically, LCD is the amount of liquid water present in the atmosphere, and which is equal to Q cloud. That means the specific humidity of the cloud minus specific humidity of the saturation specific humidity. LCD is equal to Q CLD minus Q sat, where Q CLD is the specific humidity of the cloud, and this is the saturation specific humidity, right? For instance, when we have a cloud, let us say this is a cloud, then you have a QC and you have got QE. This is the specific humidity of the cloud, and this is the specific humidity of the environment, right? And similarly, you have got CLD, liquid water, QCLD, and you have got also QSAT, saturation specific humidity, right? So we need to know, calculate these things, the QC, QCLD, etc., QE, etc. Okay. So this is the QCLD minus QSAT, and when it is integrated from the bottom of the layer to the top of the layer, Z1 to Z2 multiplied by the density of the air, then it gives the liquid water path, Okay, liquid water path. So LCD is the cloud liquid water, and rho A is the air density. Okay. For long wave radiation transfer calculation, we also need to know the cloud emissivity. Cloud emissivity denoted by epsilon, and this is determined as epsilon is equal to 1 minus e to the power minus kW. This is the cloud emissivity. Okay, cloud emissivity, where W is the cloud liquid water path, which we compute from here. W is the cloud liquid water path, and K is the absorption coefficient. This K is the absorption coefficient, which is set to equal to 0.13 meter square per gram for all cloud types. So this is the approximation, because we can't compute separately for each cloud the absorption coefficient. So we take a average value 0.13 meter square per gram for all cloud types. Now the short wave cloud radiative properties are characterized by asymmetry factor, a single scattering albedo, and a cloud optical thickness. Right? This we have discussed earlier. The asymmetry factor, single scattering albedo, and cloud optical thickness. So do you remember what is the asymmetry factor? Any one of you? We have discussed it earlier many times. Any one of you? What is the asymmetry factor? You remember? Yes or no? Nobody is saying anything. What is the asymmetry factor?
Cosine of scattering angle.
What is that?
Cosine of the scattering.
Plus minus? Well, what is the definition of this? What is the asymmetry factor definition? I mean, to compute the asymmetry factor separately for each cloud is a very complex thing, right? So we don't compute, but we assign an average estimated value. But what it is, we had discussed earlier that it depends upon, depends upon, for example, if you have a surface, okay, and if the radiation is incident, radiation beam is incident on the surface, okay, of intensity, let us say I lambda, and let us say this is the zenith angle. Then this beam of radiation will be scattered by aerosols, cloud particles, etc. Okay. At different angles. So this angles theta prime. This is theta and this is theta prime. Okay, that will be different for different particles because they will have different shapes, orientation, size, right? So the asymmetry factor depends upon that. Cos theta prime, d cos theta prime, integration -1 to +1, 2. Okay. So this is the asymmetry factor, you recall. Okay. So, and the single scattering albedo, that also we have discussed. What is single scattering albedo? What is single scattering albedo? Somebody define single scattering albedo? Everybody is silent. Bobin?
So it's a K lambda scattering. It's a ratio of
Yes.
K lambda scattering to
Yes.
Scattering and absorption.
Yeah, exactly. It's ratio of the scattering coefficient divided by the sum of the scattering and absorption coefficient, right? That's a single scattering albedo. And that is a function of the lambda, right? Wavelength. And the cloud optical thickness. So what is cloud optical thickness? Cloud optical thickness. Can you define the cloud optical thickness? Tau. We were discussing yesterday also. Tau, right? Cloud optical thickness. Somebody? Alvin? Alvin, are you there?
Yes, sir, but I couldn't remember the definition.
Cloud optical thickness.
So it's based upon density coefficients, absorption coefficient.
Yeah, depends on the density of the layer, it depends on the number concentration and integrated value of that for the entire wavelength. Yeah, so this is the cloud optical thickness. So since we said that we can't know so much scale for each cloud, therefore the cloud climate feedback is still uncertain. Because we specify approximate values of this factor, single scattering. The asymmetry factor is set equal to 0.8691 for bands of radiation from 0.2 to 0.6 and say 2 4 micron bands. This just give an approximate value because getting each among us now. Cloud optical thickness of case of the calculation of the cloud radiation. Trace the cloud optical in terms of the cloud liquid water. Just expressed in terms of the cloud water path. Here we denote the cloud optical thickness. Find model according to the my theory. It's about the my theory, right? And the last scatter here. So according to the my scatter, we define the cloud optical thickness. This system chi is equal to ratio of 3 times the cloud radius of the is the radius of the cloud is the water path that we defined earlier today. Now we compute the cloud optical RE, the effective radius, again very complex. Compute the radius of each cloud. To that, start computing the radius of each cloud droplets and things which are inside the cloud, then our time will go in that itself. Instead of that, we just specify some representative value based upon the observations or based upon, and we specify that to be 50 micron effective radius, 50 micron meters for clouds, 50 micrometers for the phi in the model. Radius of the. However, the present day numerical models, in the recent models and WP models like WRF model, upon what scheme we are going to choose. Many cloud microphysics available. You heard about the WRF model? You heard of this model?
No, sir. No, sir. Sir, there was a brief mention about it in the NWP class, but we haven't did it.
Okay, well, NWP class anyway, you will have to study in your third full course on NWP. You will study in the our 4 credit course in detail in fourth. Maybe some brief things you might understand. I think name is Swagata. Are you there? Swagata must have or must be.
Sir, well, I have heard about WRF model, but did it yet in
Not studied in detail. Well, here for our students in the MSc, generally all students have to learn part of their mini project or so. WRF for research. This is a very complex model. Complex NWP model. Placed PD and WP model. This is a dimensional WP used for various applications. And inside that model, you have got all the dynamics of the atmosphere, all the physics of the which, as we know, is there in that. This is one of the models. There are so many models. So, in the WRF model, so many schemes available. The cloud microphysics. So many schemes are 7 to 8 schemes available to parameterize the cloud microphysics in the model. And depending upon which scheme you are choosing, because some of them are very complex and some simple. Complex schemes obviously take a lot of computational time. Simple schemes take less. Depending upon the complexity of these schemes, you will get information about RE radius. Out it's okay. Depending upon which scheme you are choosing, compute these things. The number concentration also, how many number of droplets per unit volume inside the they also compute. I mean, but that is a very, very complex thing. Okay, so talking about the radius. Yes. Present-day numerical models interactively compute the cloud. But otherwise, simplicity try to assign micron clouds and 40 micron for the effective radius. By assuming random or maximum cloud overlap, cloudy volume, atmospheric radiative transfer calculations are performed in a plane parallel atmosphere. The plane parallel of previous class. So we further make assumption about the cloudiness. We're talking about the cloud amount, cloud fraction. So how the clouds are oriented, how the clouds are present, different layers of the atmosphere. According to that, now the radiation will be completely blocked. Part of the radiation will be able to penetrate. Because we need to know how much radiation is able to come down to the Earth surface. How much radiation is reflected back to space, how much radiation is blocked, clouds, All these things we need to know. For that also, again, we have to make some. Talk about that today. So let us say the cloud overlap assumptions now made in the model. Three ways to make the cloud overlap assumptions in the model. One is the maximum overlap. One is the random overlap. One is the maximum random overlap, mixed. Cloud fraction, mean ice water content alone sufficient to constrain the radiation. We need to compute, we need to know how the clouds are oriented. For example, let us say these are the different layers of the atmosphere. This is the height, okay, in the y-axis. On the x-axis, you have got the cloud cover or the cloud amount or the cloud fraction. Maximum is 1. That means if it is 1, sky is fully overcast, completely cloudy. 8 means 80% of the sky is covered by the cloud. 60% of the sky is covered by 0% of the sky. What is the percentage of the sky by the cloud? And in what layers? This is a low cloud, medium cloud, high cloud. This is, let's say, I've got two layers here. This layer, one layer above that is which I got slightly bit more clouds. This is the middle cloud, and similarly, this is a high cloud. So if we assume these kind of distribution, overlapping grid box, imagine the amount of cloud in a grid box of the model, one grid box of the about the box earlier. This one. So these are the grid boxes of the model. Each of these grid boxes, we need to compute cloud amount, and accordingly we have to also make assumption whether it is a random overlap, or maximum random overlap. So this is if the clouds are oriented in different layers, the maximum overlap. On the other hand, cloud distribution this way, this is the low cloud, the medium cloud, this is in this way, then we call it random overlap. And when it is a mixed random overlap, then we consider it. So the assumptions generate very different cloud covers. One which you are making a random overlap, maximum overlap, or maximum overlap will generate different cloud total cloud amount. Eventually, we need to compute what is the total cloudiness or total cloud amount. Most of the models nowadays use maximum random. But there has been very little validation of this assumption. How much true, how much accurate is this assumption? Very little validation is there. Now let's see this now. Some of these very interesting schematic diagrams about the effects of cloud on Earth radiation. Cloud on radiation. Okay. Let's see. Let's assume that these are the clouds. They are the low clouds. Low cloud, the high cloud. And let's say this yellow beam of radiation is the short wave radiation. Red beams are red long wave radiation, and there is a short wave radiation. So in this schematic diagram, as you can see, the short wave radiation penetrate through the high, penetrate easily through the high clouds, reach the ground. After reaching the Earth's surface, so many things will happen, as you know. Part of it will get reflected, part of it will get absorbed by the Earth's surface, and also re-emission in the long way. Also, the major portion of this short wave can penetrate some part of it. As for the short wave, look at the long wave, it is just opposite. The high clouds block of the long wave radiation. There is a high cloud present of the long wave radiation. Okay. And therefore, we say that generally when there is a cloudy night, because the long wave radiation is basically the radiation emitted by the radiation. So when the nights are cloudy, radiation is blocked by the clouds. You get a warm night. Whereas when the sky is clear during the night, all the radiation emitted by the Earth will escape, and then we get a cold night, warm night and cold night. Okay. So major part of the long wave radiation is blocked by the some part can penetrate also, and some of it can get reflected back, or also can absorb and emit. So this is the story of the interaction of radiation with the high cloud. Interaction of radiation with the high cloud. What about the low cloud? Low cloud. Low clouds, as you can see from this diagram, most is short wave radiation reflected by the low. Most of this short wave radiation is reflected. The long wave radiation can penetrate, most of the long wave radiation can penetrate this short. Part of it can get reflected. So, depending upon how much escapes, how much reflected back, how much is absorbed, how much is retained, that will determine what will be the net heating or cooling the atmosphere because of the cloud radiation interaction. Because of the cloud radiation interaction. Generally, approximately we say that low clouds lead to planetary cooling. There are too many low clouds in the atmosphere. It can lead to cooling. Whereas high clouds lead to planetary warming. There are too many high clouds in the atmosphere. Globally, can lead to warming of the planet. And the physics, logic behind that, we have already discussed. In this schematic diagram, the solar radiation short wave illustrated, long wave is illustrated. That short wave radiation getting reflected low cloud. So it gets reflected like here. Whereas long wave radiation, okay, most of it will penetrate the low clouds, get reflected back. Okay, this is an illustration of the warm and thick low cloud. And similarly, the high cloud, the short wave radiation will penetrate down. Okay. High clouds, part of it gets reflected back from here. Visibility will come down. Whereas for the long wave, it's trapped. So since the radiation is not able to escape, atmosphere, so it leads to warming, right? Further is also illustrated here in this diagram. So you have got clouds, low clouds represented. And left hand side of this diagram, the of the short wave radiation, the presence of low and high cloud, whereas right hand side you see the effects of the long wave. This orange color is indicating the warming, blue color is indicating the. So in various layers of the atmosphere, the model has to compute level by level. What layer of the atmosphere, how much cloud is, how much is the low cloud, how much is the medium cloud, how much is the cloud. The model has to compute. And accordingly, it will also compute the. So, which we discussed in the previous slide, also illustrated here. So the net warming or cooling radiation. You see that this is the Earth's surface formed by the radiation. By the solar radiation. Now, similar things are further clarified. Various ways of cloud radiation interaction. This diagram, in the red color is indicating the long radiation, and the yellow is indicating the short radiation. And this is, let us say, this is low cloud and the high cloud. So, this is a yellow color, short wave radiation. Most of it will penetrate, some of it will reflect. High cloud, most of it will penetrate. The low level clouds reflect more short wave. Low level clouds reflect short wave. High level clouds trap more long wave radiation. That earlier, long wave radiations are trapped by the high cloud. High level clouds trap more long wave. Shallow convection to scenario. So the net will depend upon net cooling or net heating of the atmosphere. Depend upon how much low cloud amount, how much cloud amount in the global atmosphere. So we need to compute these things in the model. Because now that because the cloud processes are very complex, understood, the estimation of things are always not accurate. Always some errors in that. So therefore, the cloud climate feedback models. Those who do not know about the models, they blindly say the global warming. Global warming, or global warming, not a straightforward word. Who are ignorant, they simply relate the global warming change. They talk about the climate change or global warming. It's not a straightforward. So we talk about what will happen 50 years from today, 100 years from today, climate after 100 years. 3 years, kitna hoga? These are all uncertain things. All uncertain things. Only just estimate. Nobody can say for sure that 100 years, 200 years, . how will be the climate of the earth? You can say for sure. These speculations. Because those who are the modelers, those who really understand the NWP, global circulation, the global climate modeling, they know how complex each component of the GCM determines what will be the net climate in the future. Each component, that means all the physics, all the dynamics themselves are approximated 100% known. And people just speculate कि 100 साल के बाद monsoon rainfall कितना होगा, will the monsoon rain, whether the monsoon rain will be less or more, whether there will be more cyclones, more or less. Cyclones will be more intense, less intense, more or less. How are the thunderstorms? Will there be more thunderstorms? There are so many things which people speculate. Most of them, I tell you, 90% or even more than that, people talk about global climate change. They are different. No, about the physics of the atmosphere. Just ignorant. Climate change. The system, atmospheric system. Just speculate, I tell you. उनको पता नहीं है कि अंदर में क्या है. They don't know what is inside the Earth's atmospheric system, how complex the physics are. Just speculate. There will be more rainfall in the monsoon, there will be less rainfall in the monsoon, more number of cyclones, there will be less number of cyclones, more intense, and blah blah blah. And then accordingly they correlate so many things. They talk about climate change is such a thing. Climate change is such a thing which everybody has jumped into that climate change study without knowing much about science behind it. Even the people talk about the climate change. So many people, politicians also talk about the climate change. The ecologists also talk about the climate change. The economists also talk about the climate change. So many things. Economists also talk about the economy of the country, global economy of the climate change. Very few people, I tell you, less than 10% of the people really know physics behind that, science behind the climate change, how complex things are. How will the clouds, whether there will be more clouds, less clouds, whether there will be deeper clouds, shallower clouds. For sure. Anyway, we have to stop today. Already 50. We shall continue the rest in the next.
Yes, sir.
So that all the students are here. So anyway, who came late today? You came late, yeah?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Switch on your video. What time you came?
Sir.
When did you come? How you were late?
Sorry, sir. My network is.
Oh, I see. Okay, you had a problem with your network. So anybody else who missed the attendance?
I joined late, sir.
You also came late. Okay. So I think 12 people are here. So anyway, is there any question? I stop sharing the screen now. So is there any question for today's class?
No, sir.
No. Okay.
No.
So fine. So we shall continue this discussion in the next class. Okay. Now Monday. All right. And we stop for today. I stop recording. Stop recording.